From the countless stars that have already ditched the tour, to the remaining PGA loyalists running out of reasons to stick with it, LIV Golf has turned out to be quite the threat to the tour's dominance. And honestly, is anyone surprised? Raise your hands if you saw this coming from a mile away. Like, the tour might have sanctioned and banned the Rebels, but even that couldn't make the star player exodus of 2022 any less dangerous. And now, 1 year into LIV's birth, this 2023 golf season is really displaying all the reasons the two rival circuits should have found a middle ground long ago. I mean, Dustin Johnson might have signed for the Saudi-backed league for that big fat paycheck, but that doesn't mean he's not a talented player anymore. The same goes for the rest of the stars who joined Greg Norman's ranks last year. Because say what you will about the man, but he's got the likes of Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Reed, and Taylor Gooch on his side. And if that wasn't enough, the 2022 Open Championship winner, Cam Smith, also jumped ship right after his major victory. And Smith is a force to be reckoned with, because his talents aren't limited to just terrific golf. He can also rock a mullet and drink beer straight from the claret jug. So yeah, unsurprisingly, LIV's set of players has been playing some solid golf since the start of the 2023 season. And while that makes Norman the happiest man in the world, it's as bad as news can get for Jay Monahan and co. Alright, there's a lot to unpack here. See, the PGA Tour and those loyal to it oppose the breakaway for more reasons than just its sketchy source of funding. There was also the argument that the Saudi-financed league isn't real golf, and so the players who defected to it cannot be taken seriously, because, well, being good at bad golf isn't a flex. And of course, the ranking points drought also means that whatever went down at LIV's own events didn't mean much to anybody. But unfortunately for the PGA Tour, the 2023 golf scene is just debunking all of that. First, we saw LIV golfers show up at April's Masters and show off some impressive performances. We were this close to having an LIV winner at Augusta, had Brooks Koepka not let the final round slip from his fingers. Also, we had an LIV runner-up at the Masters, Phil Mickelson, and that's no small feat either. But, and this is the part that I just know doesn't let the PGA Commissioner Monahan sleep at night, we finally had an LIV defector lift a major trophy too. Yep, Koepka didn't choke on the win at the PGA Championship like he did at the Masters. This time, he secured the win for the Rebel League's camp. But that's only a fraction of the PGA's nightmare, because another defector, Bryson DeChambeau, finished 4th too. Cam Smith finished 9th, and Mita Pereira and Patrick Reed also finished in the top 20. And I mean, that's a really good look for the Rebel League, no? Or, as DeChambeau said, it validates the LIV golfers. And that's hard to argue with. Just take Koepka for example. Back when he joined the Saudi-backed league, he was having a rough season, knee injury, and not as many wins to show off. And so the golf fans loyal to the PGA said the same thing about him that they said about the rest of the defectors as well. That he's lost his touch, can't play good golf anymore, and is looking for some easy money. They didn't think his loss was a threat to the tour. And, that aged like milk. Bryson thinks as much. He said that the great golf being played by the LIV defectors at the majors is evidence that they were always right about the Saudi-backed league's product only being something new and fresh, and not bad or easy golf. He thinks the two rival circuits must find peace now, because there's no way the tour can continue to ignore the brand that LIV golf is becoming. And that's just about how the two circuits can make peace in the future, because the present is pretty messed up, and maybe even beyond saving for the tour. How so? Well, because even legends like Tiger Woods have been proven wrong about the quality of golf that the defectors are capable of displaying. And on top of that, LIV is making its way to the mainstream pretty fast, thanks to the permission to play the majors. And yep, things look good for them overall. They have a broadcast deal, they have even more money to invest, they took golf to Australia, and were pretty warmly welcomed. But even then, the tour might not want negotiations. Yeah, I'm afraid peace was never an option here. Jamie Diaz, for one, thinks it shouldn't be an option at all. And when one of the most respected voices in golf journalism says that, you know how deep the beef between the circuit runs in the golfing landscape. Diaz says he knows LIV is becoming more and more of a threat with each passing day, which is exactly why the tour and the golfing world must not let it gain any more strength than it already has. He thinks that to allow the defectors to play the majors and the upcoming 2023 Ryder Cup is to pave the way for LIV's dominance. As for the PGA management, they're also very eager to sit at the table with LIV, or more specifically, with Norman, because even now that Rory McIlroy sees how crucial it is to mend fences with the Rebel League, he refuses to have negotiations while Norman is still the boss man. And Norman has no intentions to leave that position. And the man can hold a grudge like his life depends on it. So yeah, both sides want chaos. But even if they don't, even if there's a future where LIV Golf and the PGA Tour cooperate, it's gonna be hard to undo the damage that's been done, because broken friendships haunt the golfing landscape right now. And those are hard to fix. Just think about it. There are players like Rory McIlroy and Sergio Garcia who used to be the closest of buddies. They used to play together, and even their families used to dine together. And now, because Garcia decided to sign up for LIV, that bond is broken. The two got into a fight because McIlroy was heavily criticizing LIV, and Garcia didn't like that. So now you'll find them throwing shade at each other, and they basically don't want to speak to each other again. And that's not the only instance. There's also the friendship that Phil Mickelson and Fred Couples used to have. Safe to say, it's dead and decomposing as we speak, because Couples is a fierce defender of the tour, and Mickelson is part of what he's defending it against. Oh, and it's not just the players either. Even Greg Norman and McIlroy also found respect for each other in early 2022, before the LIV CEO went ahead and spoke trash about the Northern Irishman in an interview, because of his opposition to the Saudi-backed league. And well, now Rory has made it his life's mission to be a pain in Greg's arse. His words, not mine. The point is that people on the opposite side of this feud just can't get along anymore. We saw this at the Masters too. Rory and Koepka would have ditched the ball and smacked each other with their clubs if no one was looking. Makes you wonder, how did it even come to this? Players change teams and sides all the time. It's in every sport there is. So why has that same thing turned golf into a battlefield? See, this has to do with the PGA's place in traditional golf, because no one has ever challenged the tour's complete dominance. Mostly because nobody thought it needed to be done. Nobody except, you guessed it, Greg Norman. Insult upon injury, the Great White Shark has had beef with the tour for over 3 decades now, which makes him the last person whose power the PGA loyalists would want to give into. Also, the birth of LIV showed the cracks that existed within the tour. In the early days, everyone was sure that none of the players was going to sign for some new league funded by Saudi Arabia, let alone the star players, because how could they betray the tour that made them? Surely they couldn't ditch their home tour for some extra cash, right? Well, they could, and they did. And that's something those left behind just aren't going to forgive. But the problem is, if things keep going as they are, there might not be many loyalists left. See, with the LIV Golfer's success in mainstream golf, one thing is clear. The defectors can now pocket the countless millions from LIV while also adding prestigious events to their resumes. And that sounds like a great deal, especially if you're a lower-ranked PGA member right now. Yep, in its effort to cope with the LIV threat, the tour introduced its designated events, high-paying events that only the top-ranked members can play. They're kind of becoming the very thing they swore to destroy. Because of that, the lower-ranked players are feeling neglected, and that just might lead them to the door of the enemy, something the tour has to avoid at all costs if it doesn't want to lose this fight. So, from the PGA members having more reasons than ever to join LIV, to the countless stars that have already jumped ship, that was why LIV Golf is such a threat to the PGA Tour.